Thank you very much, Deborah. I'd like to thank you and the UNEG team for organizing this. I think it's a very important event. Over the past 2 years, there's been a lot of reflection on and discussion about the contribution made by the MDGs. Today, there's broad acknowledgement and consensus that the MDGs have really made a significant contribution to poverty reduction and global development. As a global MDG report just released shows, the world has seen unprecedented poverty reduction and a significant rise in living standards for billions of people. In short, there's a growing consensus that the MDGs have made a real difference in the millions of people's lives and have certainly helped shape the development landscape by galvanizing the development community globally and garnering much broader political and considerable financial support. Indeed, I've seen this with my own eyes, how important the MDGs can be, particularly in terms of national policy prioritization, including in Tanzania and Vietnam, where I've been privileged to serve as UN Resident Coordinator. Yet, as in the case with all development results, there's still the challenge of attribution. In other words, the question remains, have these changes been brought about as a result of the MDGs having been adopted? Do we have the evaluative evidence on results? The evidence is, as some commentators such as Oxfam have noted, somewhat mixed. And as an assessment by the Center for Global Development has highlighted, if we look at significant differences in outcomes and impacts before and after the year 2000, we see that the clearest effects have been on first aid levels, and secondly on the policy discourse around global development. The impact on policy change and on development outcomes overall is less conclusive. In some areas, the link between the MDGs, increased international aid, and enhanced development impact is very clear and convincing. Vaccination and primary education are prime examples. But in other areas, it's less so. Let me be clear, though, this is not an argument for not having global development goals. Far from it. The critical and singular importance of the attention, resources, and policy commitments garnered by a single, now universal, global development agenda for the next 15 years cannot be underestimated. Instead, it's an argument for building evaluation into the design of the new agenda from the outset. Because one reason we can't better assess the impact of the MDGs is that we're not able to robustly evaluate them as much as we would like to. And that's why, as the world discusses and member states negotiate the next agenda, it's so important that we plan for and later properly undertake evaluation of their impact. We need to better understand how development is improving the lives of people around the world, what works, and most importantly, what doesn't work, and how to change it. Evidence of impact, as we've heard, is critical to inform and guide evidence-based policymaking. Hence, evaluation is a really critical and fundamental tool for the post-2015 agenda. It's especially critical at the country level to assess national progress. Because country contexts differ so greatly, it's important that the SDGs and the new targets be customized to take into account specific national circumstances. So too, evaluation also needs to take into account these circumstances. Such robust national evaluation can feed into a global assessment of progress, but even more importantly, it can help inform better policy making. Looking forward, I see 5 key priorities if we are truly to embed evaluation in the planning and implementation of the new post-2015 development agenda. First, and this is an ongoing discussion, as you know, we need to have in place robust data to measure and assess progress. As Amina has already highlighted, we do indeed need a data revolution, and we need to disaggregate indicators by sex, by economic status, income quintile, age, disability, and so on, so that we can really measure progress towards eliminating inequalities, particularly for the most vulnerable. Currently, there's one specific but very important target under Goal 7 in terms of disaggregation of data, and it will be really fundamental to disaggregate all indicators across the framework to really ensure the new agenda is transformative and rights-based. What's more, we also need a gender data revolution to ensure that the 52 standard indicators on gender equality and women's empowerment and the nine now standard indicators on measuring violence against women adopted by the UN Statistical Commission are rolled out globally. We have to properly benchmark and then bring down these appallingly high levels of violence against women. Second, and just as critical as we've heard, is to strengthen national evaluation capacity. Because indicators for monitoring, while certainly necessary, are not sufficient. Countries also need to understand what's working, what's needed, and also what not to do. And national ownership of evaluation processes findings is absolutely critical to ensure uptake and ultimately policy change. Third is to ensure that evaluation is firmly grounded in human rights and equality, including gender equality. UN Women and the International Organization for Cooperation in Evaluation has launched a global partnership we've heard about, Eval Partners, and this is a very important, broad group of 55 organizations to really strengthen national capacities for equity-focused and gender-sensitive evaluation systems. Building and extending these important partnerships in the future will be key. Fourth, as we've also heard, accountability and transparency are critical for a universal, rights-based, and especially critical for a transformative agenda. The results of new commitments made by countries and by partners must be robustly and transparently assessed and evaluated. And this means that evaluations must be participatory and inclusive at all levels. More than 3 million people around the world now have participated in UNEG consultations on the post-2015 agenda. And all over the world, people are saying that they want to say not only in the formulation of the new agenda, but also in the way that it is monitored and assessed, including citizens in evaluation, using all the participatory methodologies that we have at our disposal will be key. And finally, it's absolutely critical that we really use evaluation and the evidence it generates for policy change. And this is a responsibility largely of governments, but also civil society, even the private sector, and of course ourselves as the UN. It's critical that the UN system takes a much more systematic and robust approach to evaluation, including at the country level. We need to be evaluating our work as one, not only at the level of the UNDAF or the overall framework, but also on a thematic basis, working together as UN agencies to jointly evaluate the impact of our work, whether on social protection, climate change, gender equality, or human rights. And we need to learn from and better share the evidence that such evaluation generates. Because when we look back on the next generation of the SDGs in 16 years' time, we should be in quite a different situation than where we are today with the MDGs. We should be able to clearly understand the impact of these new goals and the extent to which they have led to what I believe will be transformative development change. Evaluation which is nationally owned, participatory, rights-based, and gender responsive will, in my opinion, be critical to get us there. Thank you.